So we're doing this because you uh, rewarded yourself with a magical inscription on my website. And
Right.
I thought that it would be even more magical if you would give us an insight into the magical script that you created for the magical inscription. You can give us a bit of an insight into the person who is Travis Williams. So, what do you want to tell us about yourself? You are an author. You've written a wonderful book, which you're working on publishing with Serotonin Creative,
Hmm.
and you live in Georgia.
I do. Over a year ago, I communicated with Colleen about what she's doing, and I said that uh, I might, I'd want to help her and with her work, and I said I kind of want to be doing art direction for covers and helping people with their cover design. I said I don't really want to sit and do the cover designs myself, but I can look at something and tell if it needs something. I talked to her about that, and then I started writing more. And ultimately, before Christmas, I had decided to move forward with my writing and publishing with Serotonin, and she immediately started letting me help with cover designs. And I would just look at them and weigh in, and some of them were almost completed, and others needed uh, uh, um, were not complete. They had a lot of work to do still. You were getting close to needing to start working on your cover, and I think you'd already started the fundraiser, and you had an idea for it, and I knew that you had a very particular vision, but that you didn't really know how to talk about it with someone else exactly. And I could tell that, and I said, I want to help with that, and it kind of is part of the bigger plan that I like. I like to help people succeed. I want to see people succeed, and I felt like you had worked on something that was epic and fun, and that people are going to like it. But if it didn't have a cover that stood out, or that had that it needed to stand out, and you knew that as well, or you wouldn't be working with Anna. And so you know this way of working that is all over the world is kind of new. It's not real new, and it's not just because of COVID, but um, it has accelerated the opportunity to do it for people who maybe would not have used Zoom otherwise, and or other similar products. And it's, as Christians, we don't sit around and just try to figure out, well, are they really my neighbor or whatever. You're my neighbor, even though you're 2,000 miles away. And so I liked that. And so when I saw what you were working on, I had the idea to have some kind of uh, alien, or I guess the characters are human, right? I mean, they don't have tentacles and and large faceted eyes or something.
Then
But the character,
one of
huh?
them might be a shapeshifter.
Okay, but we don't know yet, right? So the thing is that I felt like that in order to get across um, that it's not your average sci-fi story, and not to look. I was looking at covers because of my own book, and I think Nicola needs something on there that's going to make it stand out. And I had been looking at constructed languages and constructed scripts online some before, maybe even last year sometime, and and for many years I've had a little piece of wire that I had looked at one day when I found it. I don't know where I found it, but I had this little piece of wire, and and I had thought when I looked at it that it kind of at different angles it looked like a letter or different letters. And when I was talking to you, I said, you know, I think that your book needs some script on it, kind of in the background, kind of faded into the background somehow, or somehow on there that is alien, that looks different. And and I immediately, even the very first time I was talking to you about it, I was thinking about this little piece of wire, and I thought this piece of wire could be how we come up with something. And when you liked that idea, I showed you the wire, and I'll show it. I've got a different way of showing it now. I've got a little
Ah,
bit better background there. So if you look at this piece of wire, you know it can be it can be different things based on just how you hold it. And so let's see if I can make it look. And so you know it just as it turns, it becomes other things. And and so I said to you that I could use that, and you liked the idea, and you were like, I don't think you can get enough letters out of that. And I said, I think I can. And so I I, it was a challenge. Actually, some of the letters don't actually start with the wire, but a lot of them do. In fact, when I was standing there, were you thinking about like S or E or B or M or you're like, that does look like a Aeolian M. Um, so in English and in most Western languages, and then some others, we use what are called Latin letters, and they're readable on purpose. We want them to be readable, but the Aeolian letters were purposefully meant to be cryptic. We wanted them to be cryptic. We had talked about doing this, and I had just bought a piece of software for my iPad called Affinity Designer, and Affinity Designer is is a competitor with Adobe Illustrator, which is the professional software that all designers use. No one would even consider using anything else, except that it's expensive. I just needed something that I could be kind of a hobbyist with, or not exactly full professional uh, designer software spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars a year on subscriptions. And so Affinity Designer kind of uh, fit the bill. And I had downloaded it, but I didn't quite know how to use it. And so I also, once I started working on this, at some point I decided it needed to be typable, and that we needed more of the letters. And that was also a challenge to figure out how to do that. And a lot of my time was spent on just trying to make it work, trying to get the two pieces of software to work, the Affinity Designer on the design side, and then taking the art into the iFont Maker is the software I found. What do you have questions about? What should I talk about first?
well, let's see how you took that piece of wire and looked at it and took pictures of it.
Okay, right. Well, so let's go here. I took maybe 20 or 30 pictures like this. This is the top of a plastic cup, and I figured out that that was a good thing. It let light come through, and it was I was able to um, turn it and set the camera in different ways. And I could also use the a little magnet, but that's typical of a lot of the pictures.
Mm. It's really cool that you're talking about the light coming through, because in Anna's painting, the light coming through the glass globe is a highlight of the painting.
Oh, really? Well,
So light coming through is a highlight for Liashine.
Well, it needed to be able to, otherwise, the wire was lost on the background.
Mm-hmm.
And so, by being backlit that way, it contrasted with the background. So then the next thing I did was I started thinking about how to do this, and what you do is so I want to demonstrate the process of drawing a letter. You use this tool here, the pen tool, and when you click, it leaves a dot there, and then the next time you click, it connects it. And
Great.
and this thing can
Woo.
turn different
Cool.
ways. And so if you know what you're doing, you can go out to the edges and then do another one.
And you make it look easy.
Yeah, I know I'd make it look easy. And then so you see, if you turn it the wrong way, it goes the wrong way.
Mm.
And then you can do that. So now the next process in this is you go to this tool, the node tool, and now you can kind of change these around a little bit and make them perfect.
Mm.
And this takes a while because you want them to be just so. And I took you to heart. You said don't make it too typey. And so there's a way to make this really typey, and that's to over edit every single little spot and every little node, and so I didn't want to do that. I wanted to kind of let it be a little hand drawn.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are places where you can really see that it really does have a hand drawn feel. It's the curves aren't perfect and that kind of thing, and I like it that way. I wanted it to be a little more hand drawn.
Mm-hmm.
So then you can take this and pull it down here, and eventually later in the process, I drew this just a circle, and I wanted it to be a letter, and I needed another letter, and eventually it became a T.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided that the T was the basis of everything. So the T is the basis of everything. Well, so in that case, this needs to be adjusted. So I started adjusting it, just
Mm-hmm.
just moving things around a little bit, and trying to make it fit within the T. So all of the letters in the typeface in your fictional typeface, in your fantasy typeface, kind of fall into this shape here.
And
Even the ones.
you did the T before you knew that it was going to be Tassanara.
Oh yeah, that's true, because we were calling it Aeolian.
Yeah.
Originally.
And there's a whole bunch of research you did into it. Did Aeolian already exist? Which it did.
Right. It just hit me that maybe because you told me that word has something to do with music, and I thought, I bet there's an Aeolian somewhere. And so, sure enough, an organ manufacturer had used the word. Maybe that was the name of the company, Aeolian, and they had a typographer, a really good typographer, actually. I can't remember his name right this second, but he designed a font based on the lettering on the stops on the organs of the Aeolian Organ Company. Mm-hmm. And he designed this really neat kind of Victorian looking font, and he called it Aeolian. So I said, well, I don't want to
we don't want to get confused with that one.
No. and he's a good designer, and he's a living designer, and he has lots of fonts out there. And I just thought, well, we don't want to, clash with that. So what I started using Aeolian for is it's the alphabet, it's the language. And so we have a language called Aeolian, we have an alphabet that's Aeolian, and then we're using a fantasy Aeolian alphabet to write Latin alphabet uh, used for English. And that alphabet is different from a typeface. So the typeface is Tassanara,
Mm-hmm.
and then this standard script, this Tassanara standard script, is the font. And you can have all kinds of different Tassanaras. So one thing I wanted to talk about is ligatures. Um, a ligature is when two letters are drawn together. And in this case, the first one is the FI ligature. And in English, we need that. And the reason for it is on the second side, the second group there. If you write F and I together in text in print, it clashes. The two things clash. One, the dot above the I hits your serif on the F, and then the serifs don't line up properly. So you need a ligature, and you never notice it when you're reading it in, like, 10 point, 12 point font. It's so tiny. You're reading and you don't notice that the word fish has a ligature FI with no dot above the I. The serif bump on the lowercase f, your eye reads it as the dot for the I.
Mm-hmm.
And then they run the crossbar on the F into the serif on the top of the I.
Mm-hmm.
And I put those little red circles there so that you can see that they're the same width apart there.
Cool.
So that's a ligature, and we need ligatures, but we don't need them in Tassanara because all the letters just touch each other.
Mm-hmm.
And so another thing I wanted to teach about the Latin alphabet is that in professional typography, they have an X height. And so all the letters fit in the height of an X in some way, so relative to the height of the X. And so the uppercase X and the lowercase x provide X heights for the uppercase and lowercase letters. And in the case of letters that are round, they typically go a little above and below the baseline and above the X height.
Hmm.
So I just wanted to show that. Another thing is the ligature of E and T for the ampersand. So this is the ampersand. The first one here is a regular text ampersand, and the second one is an italic ampersand. There can be all kinds of variety in how a designer, a typographer, designs an ampersand, and in some cases, the designers of a typeface use the ampersand as their most artistic thing that they do. So they do something kind of fun with the ampersand. And, sometimes you just think of it as sort of a backwards 3 with a line through it. So in the Aeolian alphabet, I decided I would use the most beautiful letters that I had designed on the letters that are most common. And I felt like that the letter for E was, which is the most common letter in English, is what was this kind of up, this sideways backwards S, and that to make a ligature of E and T, I would use the T, which is a big circle and this sort of sideways S, uh, and put the T in it instead of beside it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's your ampersand here in Aeolian. And beside it, I've got E and T as letters.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so the T became a tiny little T inside the E, and that's your ampersand. And I thought, well, what I've done is I've T for tag, I've tagged the E, and I want to have other symbol. That gave me the, like I said, oh, wait, I can do this other ways. I can do other symbols that are also tagged. The at sign is an A, and it's actually a T as well as the word at. So the the at sign in Aeolian is an A that's tagged with a T
Mm-hmm.
in the middle of it, and so that's your at sign. And then I started thinking of other ways to do that. So I tagged an S in the Tassanara typeface, and the S stands for search because the hashtag is a method by which Facebook and Twitter, it's a way of searching, and you can have an ongoing search. You can follow a particular search by having the hashtag in the word that you're searching. So the S became a tagged S became the hashtag, and then M in Aeolian in the Tassanara font became a tagged M became the symbol for money. And
Mm-hmm.
what I decided was they probably didn't have a lot of different kinds of money in your culture,
Mm-hmm.
in Liachine and Avram's cultures. And so what I did is I just said, well, if we needed to show other um, cultural money forms, we'll do it kind of like we do with the dollar. You put US and dollar and CD and the dollar sign so that you show different ones. So there's only one form of money symbol,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a tagged M.
Mm-hmm.
Percent is a tagged P. Then one of my favorite ones is, and not in all languages, but in English, you make you tie two things together with an apostrophe. Also, possessive is, Nicola's book would be apostrophe S. And so I said that when you tie two things together, you yoke them together, and the Y when it's tagged is the apostrophe. I chose the letter for Y based on the fact that it ends a lot of words, and it also ends the word mercy.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's even though it's not as a common letter, I put a symbol on it that I like.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and because it ends a lot of words, and it was in the word mercy.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess we should tell why that matters.
That's
Um,
right.
yeah, why don't you talk about what mercy triumphs is in the book?
Oh, there is this thing called the Mercy Plea. Um, and the whole book is about Avram's definition of mercy and Liashin's conflicting definition of mercy. First of all, mixed Lillian society is very protocol based. They've got laws and things that you have to apply in certain situations, and that keeps everybody safe. If everybody knows what's going to happen if this happens, then they feel like they can get along with each other. It's actually quite a barbaric society, and so having these hard and fast laws is the best that they can come up with to be even half civilized. So the mercy plea is when one person wrongs another person. The person who is wronged can kill the other person
Oh.
unless the other person cries mercy. And then there's a whole, I, Nicola, beg mercy of you, Travis. I have done this wrong. Don't kill me.
Ah.
And so then the person who is wronged cannot kill the person who has begged mercy, but that person who begged it now becomes a slave of the person
Oh.
who is wronged. And of course, that's how they take out their revenge. They can't kill him, but they can keep him alive in the worst possible way.
Aha.
And so that's Liachín's definition of mercy. And of course, Avram, he's more the Judeo Christian worldview. He has the idea that mercy is not getting what you deserve. And
Aha.
so, by the end of book 2, we have Liachín begging mercy of Avram and thinking that she is his slave and that she should be kept in the worst possible conditions. He,
Aha.
of course, knows he doesn't know anything about that. He just knows, oh, well, she's Mercy. That means that I have to keep her in the best possible conditions and not take out the punishment on her. And there's a conflict because she's insisting he does it one way and he's insisting he does it the other way. And
So,
Mercy triumphs in the end.
I see. So, so I wanted Mercy Triumphs to look nice, and so I actually chose letters that I thought looked nice together.
Mm.
And the M, for instance, if you look here, that's the M. I like that M, and I like a lot of the letters. Some letters I don't think look good by themselves. So the one for you, uh, just sitting there by itself, it doesn't really look great.
Mm.
But together they form words, and the words look nice when they're formed together. So another thing I wanted to show you is that these sort of wire spline based letters can be given different look, a different look. And so the way you do that in Affinity Designer is you just go in and give them thickness.
Whoa.
And so whenever you do it just the same thickness all the way around, it kind of looks like Helvetica or something. But you can change things
Cool.
and give it thicks and thins. Oh yeah, and I can do like crazy stuff like this. Yeah, that completely changes the way it looks like somebody hand wrote that. And that's what's nice about this is that it's kind of simple to make it look really different just because it's a really fine line. What we ultimately decided on was something more like this. Um, most the letters in the Tassanara font have this really thin tips and then a thick body that goes around. And that's what we chose for the letters, these thin tips and a thick body. But there's no reason that has to be that way all the time. This is actually an earlier version. This is not the final one, but this was a study for you. And I just went in there and I decided to play around with some of the effects, and I was able to give it this golden metallic look, and I thought it looked really good. And
And I
I
must say, most people pick up on L as a heart.
well, they should. That was intentional, but I never mentioned it to anyone.
And everyone says, yep, that I can see where that came from.
Yeah, once I saw that it was a heart, I said, "Oh, that'll be my L."
Mm-hmm.
This is the actual file that I used to take the glyphs over to the next piece of software.
I'm gonna have to send you lots of chocolate or something. What is your bribe anyway?
Yeah, everybody that buys your book has to buy one of my books.
Okay, I'm good with that.
I want to go to iThought Maker, and so in iThought Maker, I pulled in those shapes,
Mm-hmm.
and in each shape, I just placed each one, and I had to adjust for those capital marks. And once you go there, you can see the font online, and they've got samples, and they've got a glyph map that you can look at, and you can download it and install it.
Once you've downloaded it and installed it, you can type it in Word, and it works in Scrivener, and it works in all of the Office products like PowerPoint. It's really cool.
I'm going to make it available on my website, and my website is booksbytravis.com, and you'll be able to find it there. And then I think you're going to make a link to it as well.
Yep.
On mikeandpen.com.
No, on Leah Sheen at Mike and Pen, I already have it under the membership only place.
Okay.
It's a page above where you find the link to the treasure.
Okay. But it was fun, and I wanted to do it, and it gave me a lot of opportunity to do something that I've been wanting to do. I don't know how long I've had this piece of wire. I've had it a long time. I may have had it more than 10 years. And so I've had it, and I always thought it kind of looked like an A or whatever. And so I had fun doing that, and I'm happy to share it with you.
Well, you make sure that goes in the safety deposit box now, and we'll see. One day it'll be in the Smithsonian Museum.
Okay.
We're gonna make that little piece of wire so famous people will pay money for it.
Okay. All right. Well, do you have any other questions about the process and everything?
No, you did a wonderful job explaining it. Thank you so much. And
you're welcome.
Did an amazing job just thinking of all these things. I'm really, really grateful that you put your creativity into Leah Sheen's world and came up with this. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All these wonderful things. And I will see you again soon.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.